The developing nations and the poor nations, Ms. Figueres, are especially vulnerable to climate change, particularly concerning floods and droughts and other disasters. And these nations, like many of those in sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia, are least responsible for the effects of global warming. And what can the nations of the world, like the United States, like the EU, assist some of the poorer countries, third world countries, in attaining the technologies to compensate for the effects of global warming? Costa Rica probably is not necessarily in that category, but certainly Southeast Asia and Africa, African nations are. Mr. Meyer.
Just come in on that, Congressman. The thing to get clear here is the scale of the need. The World Bank estimates that we need $40 billion to $50 billion a year. Oxfam estimates $50 to $80 billion a year as a starting point to build capacity in these countries to deal with adaptation to climate change. We're putting 2 orders of magnitude less a year on the table, hundreds of millions, not tens of billions. The other point I would make is that we have to do aggressive mitigation if we want to make adaptation even feasible. We did analysis, for example, for our own state of California here for Governor Davis and Governor Schwarzenegger, which showed if you had an aggressive mitigation path in California and the world, you would lose about half of the Sierra snowpack by 2090. If you had business as usual growth, you would lose virtually all of the Sierra snowpack by the middle of the century, and that's the drinking water supply for California. That's the Central Valley irrigation. That's when Governor Davis and Governor Schwarzenegger got it. This is a core economic issue. So to have adaptation be feasible and even on the bounds of being affordable, you have to have the most aggressive mitigation scenario you can have. And even with that, we're going to have some impacts that we're experiencing now. They're going to get worse over the next 20 or 30 years. That it's our moral responsibility to help these countries who'd had no role in creating this problem deal with the consequences of our past behavior.
Let me just add half a sentence to that. Yes, it is the moral responsibility, and it is not just a moral responsibility. Actually, from the point of view of the United States, this is a long-term security issue for the United States. If you think that we're having a hard time now dealing with the immigration issue in the United States, that is nothing compared to the climate immigration waves that we will have unless we help these countries deal with the situation on their own territory.
Just add one more comment to that. The nation projected to be the most rapidly impacted in terms of loss of water supplies worldwide is actually not in Africa. It's Mexico. So the question of immigration that Ms. Figueres just raised is a very serious one.